Hi, this is Chatboxing. I'm Sean. This is my post-fight video for the Andre Ward Sergey Kovalev fight. Okay, before the fight, I thought that Sergey Kovalev was the one who had the most room for improvement. I thought he was going to improve the most. I thought Andre Ward was going to improve a little bit, but I thought that at this stage of his career and in this matchup, stylistically, I didn't really see that he could do that much more than he'd done in the first one. Sergey Kovalev, on the other hand, I saw quite a few ways in which he could have improved and done basically the same thing that he did, but do it a lot better. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, that's what he did in this fight. I think he did basically the same stuff that he did, but he did it better. He did it with more intensity. He did it with a bit more intelligence. He did it with better timing. And he worked the body a little bit more. He used those little step backs, to keep his range quite well. He didn't smother his own work as much. Unfortunately, Andre Ward was just significantly better in this fight than he was in the first fight. So unfortunately for Kovalev, those improvements that he did make were overshadowed by the huge improvement in the performance of Andre Ward. Now I remember before the first fight, I was looking at a few videos, a few past fights of Andre Ward and Kovalev to make my prediction, to kind of brush up a little bit for the first one. And I remember seeing Ward against Salvatore Barrera, against Alexander Brand, and I just thought that he slowed down a little bit and he doesn't look quite as sharp. His reflexes don't seem quite as good as they used to. I didn't think he was quite as good as he was in the Super 6. So that's why I predicted that he would lose the first fight. And that's why, in my opinion, he did lose the first fight. I think he wasn't the same fight. He doesn't have the same kind of speed, like not the same quickness, not neither the hands, not the feet, the reflexes. But in this fight, it was a bit of a sort of throwback version of Andre Ward. I mean, he had all that again. His feet were much quicker, his hands were quicker, his timing was much better, his reflexes were really sharp. He's just very, very mentally alert, which I thought that he would be that, but I didn't expect him to physically be able to basically sort of turn back the clock a little bit from what I could see. And Sergey Kovalev started kind of basically how he did the first one. He was doing good work with a jab, the straight right hand as well. Ward was kind of staying away from it, but still he was kind of controlling the pace of the fight for parts of it with that jab, and he was using his distance well, little steps back to keep the range well, and he was doing everything well. He was like walking Ward down. But the problem was for him, like Andre Ward was, as I say, much quicker on his feet. He was able to close the distance a lot better, and he was able to really get in there earlier and start, putting a bit of work in, which obviously made a big difference. Because Andre Ward's, well, actually, one thing I would say, because Andre Ward, I said that he couldn't really outbox Kovalev from range. I wouldn't say he outboxed him, but he definitely held his own with him in terms of the boxing from range. He did very, very well. Again, it comes back down to the speed that he had, where he could, defeat the hands, the reflexes, and he could negate that physical advantage that Kovalev had, or has generally. And he beat him to the punch quite a few times. He was, slipping, ducking, coming under, changing the come in, he'd pivot round, attacking from the other angle. It was a masterful performance, really, from Andre Ward in this fight. Sergey Kovalev, I think, did pretty well. I just think that he, came up against Andre Ward, who was basically just better on the night. I think, there was the stoppage itself I didn't like. I thought the stoppage was premature. In terms of whether they were low blows, I couldn't really see, to be honest, from where I was. They looked kind of borderline. There's like three of them, and then there was one where Kovalev himself was kind of in the way. I didn't really see. So I don't know if they were low blows or one of them was, but what I would say is that the referee was very quick to stop it. He just came in and didn't even give him a standing 8 count, which was a shame in my opinion, because he got hurt with the right hand, but I don't think he should have stopped the fight. It was very, very quick. He got hurt, he got staggered. He was kind of on the back foot. He was in survival mode, really. But he backed up on the ropes, got hit with a few punches, and then he kind of slumped down. And then the referee just came in and stopped it without a count. So that's a shame. I think it was unfortunate because I think it's unfortunate for both of them. It kind of reminds me slightly of the Froch Groves fight, because in that fight, everybody says that Groves was robbed of his world title shot, but really, I think Carl Froch was kind of robbed as well, because the way that fight was going, Carl Froch really did look like he was starting to get, he was really in the ascendancy. Groves was tiring. I think if it had carried on, then he would have got a legitimate stoppage. And to be honest, that's what I think would have happened in this one as well. I think, if not a legitimate stoppage, I think Andre definitely would have won a clear victory on points. I think about halfway through the fight, it was very close. And to me, I saw it as a lot of people were saying they saw the first one. Very, very difficult to edge. I think going into the eighth round, I think Ward was ahead, and he was definitely the one who was getting stronger, whereas Kovalev was starting to fade. And Ward, he couldn't match him for power, but he was basically beating him with just pure tenacity. Every time Kovalev would hit him, he'd just come in and answer, and he'd just take it to him, rough him up, hit him in the body. Couple of low blows, possibly. I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably were, but it's not the first time we've seen a few low blows in a boxing match. Do you know what I mean? It does happen sometimes. I don't think Ward was purposefully targeting his bollocks all night. Do you know what I mean? Like a couple of people have mentioned. I don't see that. I think it was he got in there, roughed him up a bit. I don't think Kovalev quit either. I think Kovalev was really going for it. There were times towards the end where they were really having like a good exchange, and Kovalev was, dishing a load out as well at that point to the body. I just think that in that kind of war of attrition, Andre Ward was coming out on top. And I think if it had carried on, then he probably would have. Yeah, I think he would have got a stoppage. I think Kovalev, just through sheer exhaustion, really. And Andre Ward was landing some good punches as well. He obviously had a bit of a point to prove. He was landing some good body punches, but he was also landing some good punches to the head. And one thing that he did in this fight that he couldn't really do in the first one, his lead punches. He came in. He's good with his lead hook. He'll jump in or from a jab, like from distance, like a power jab. He couldn't really do that in the first fight. This one he did that quite well. And he was able to, because he was really not wanting Kovalev to build up momentum, he was wanting to answer everything. So Kovalev would hit him, he'd just come in and he'd get him back a couple of times. He was countering him with some good punches to the head as well. So yeah, it was a very, very good performance from Andre Ward. A very good performance, much better than the last one. That's the best I've seen him I mean, I don't know, since maybe like the Mikhail Kessler fight. I mean, it was a great performance. Sergey Kovalev, yeah, I feel a bit sorry for him in terms of the stoppage. It was a bit premature, but what can you do? In terms of where they go from here, I mean, the obvious fight for Roger Ward is Adonis Stevenson. I don't expect him to take it right away. He's just had 2 fights back to back with Sergey Kovalev, so presumably like mandatories and stuff like that. I'm not sure who the mandatories are, to be honest, but I certainly wouldn't be angry at Andre Ward for taking a softer touch next. But yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, I said, because people talking about the pound for pound and all this kind of stuff. I don't really like all this pound for pound. I think it's a load of bollocks, personally. I thought that before this, I would have said that Sergey Kovalev was the number 1 in the light heavyweight division. I don't think that now, not based on that, but I'd say that Andre Ward, you could say, is the number 1 light heavyweight. I think he's got to beat Adonis Stevenson to really solidify that. But I think right now you'd have to say that he is the man in that division. I also wouldn't have said that he was the number 1 in America. To be honest, I would say Terence Crawford would be the number 1 American. To be honest, in terms of like pure skills and versatility, I'd probably still say that Crawford was the man. But in terms of what they've achieved and who they've beaten, how they've done it, you have to say that, yeah, Andre Ward really should be the number 1 in America as well. So, yeah, fair play to him. He's really impressed me with that. As I say, the situation with the stoppage. That's nothing to do with him. I don't. I think he would have probably got that anyway. So yeah. So hopefully he'll fight Adonis Stevenson before too long. I don't think that would be an easy touch by any means. Like a lot of people think that would be a walk in the park for him. I don't think that. So I think Adonis Stevenson is a very, very underrated fighter, personally. Um, Sergey Kovalev is going to be difficult for Sergey Kovalev now because, as a lot of people have mentioned, he's not the ideal person you want to fight if you don't have a lot to get out of it. Do you know what I mean? If he's got a lot of belts, people are going to want to fight him. If he doesn't, then there's not that much incentive. Now, he got beaten by the better man last night, but, you know, he got beaten by a very, very good opponent with a very, very good performance. Um, yeah, he got stopped, but I don't think it wasn't a stoppage that I wouldn't have stopped the fight. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like he just got like sparked out or anything like that. The fight before that, he lost as well, but it was very controversial. So I still think he's definitely still one of the top light heavyweights. Be interesting to see what opportunity he gets from here. But Turbiev, I suppose, would be the obvious one. Bit of a Russian domestic grudge match. I mean, Beterbiev is obviously people have talked about him for a long time, saying that he's a top contender, but he needs a big fight. He needs a big name to really get himself in there. Sergey Kovalev would be the obvious choice for him, in my opinion, especially now. Especially now, Sergey Kovalev, doesn't have as many options. So I'd like to see Kovalev against Beterbiev and Andre Ward against Adonis Stevenson. I'd also really like to see Badu Jack get in the mix. I mean, Badu Jack for me proved that he was the number one super middleweight when he didn't get the decision against James DeGale, but in my opinion he clearly won that fight, and he clearly showed that he was the man in that division. He also said that he was weight drained, so I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, then you've got to think light heavyweight, potentially he could be serious. He could be a serious contender. We've got in the UK Anthony. Oh, he's a long way off, but Anthony Yard. Quite interested to see how far he can go. Yeah, he's obviously like a domestic level at the moment in the UK, but I've got high hopes for him as well. But yeah, that's it really. It's a bit of a slightly controversial ending, I suppose, with the stoppage, but still a very, very good performance from Andre Ward. Congratulations to him, and yeah, let me know what you lot think. Thank you very much for watching.